that no one else wants to discuss.
All right, you talk about the Fed as being the ultimate in central planning and, borrowed from central planned governments of the past that have failed, apparently, supposedly, that America somehow triumphed against, and yet now they're, through the Federal Reserve, seem to be emulating this whole idea of central planning. And another aspect of these centrally planned governments and economies from the past was that really strong propaganda mechanism. And here with Ron Paul, he comes in second in a primary, and yet the mainstream media, it's quite obvious now that there's this huge propaganda element in place where they don't report. It's like watching North Korean TV when you watch CNN or Fox News. They simply gloss over actual facts and figures, what's going on. It's quite shocking, I think, for a lot of people. What is the mainstream afraid of exactly with Ron Paul?
When I think about this, it's easy to go into conspiracy theories and saying that, everyone on mainstream television is purposely lying or deceiving and all that. And I do think there is, for sure, an element of that going on within all of the mainstream media channels, that people deliberately are deceiving the population. However, I do also think the majority of it is simply the powerful elite in this country, and that, of course, includes the media, have benefited from this warfare, welfare, Federal Reserve transfer of wealth model. So they don't even question the root cancer that is America at this point. And so I think there is a large element of people just not wanting to rock the boat to a system that has enriched them, made them celebrity, given them the lifestyle that they have. So that's really where I think the media just tends to just block out Ron Paul, because he is actually talking about structural change, and structural change in most cases for most of the people with a voice on television is not in their best interests.
Right, so the anchors on CNN and Fox News would simply lose their job. Now, Chief of Staff for Barack Obama now is Jack Lew. He's the former COO of Citibank. Your thoughts?
I actually think this is good, though, because when Obama continues to expose himself as the complete fraud and bankster puppet that he is, it just brings more people to ask the questions. It's just more ammunition for our side to say, see what he did here? Notice how I had a lot of friends that had said to me before the NDAA that Obama said he would veto it, so he'd veto it. And I said to people, he's not going to veto it, you watch. And then when he didn't, I get credibility. So we get credibility. We get further credibility with people as Obama and others in power do the opposite of what you'd think they rationally should do, or what would be in the best interest of the people. Look, I mean, this is a trend that we've seen with Obama from the beginning, which is the oligarchs in the financial services industry, which are stealing from essentially the productive parts of the American economy, and crashed the world economy back in 2007 and 2008, are being rewarded with positions. It's 2 + 2 = 5 from Orwell's 1984. All of these guys should never, ever be able to have a job anywhere again. They should all be disgraced. But instead, it's this religion of Ponzi finance and Federal Reserve dominance that we are continuing to push forward with. And Obama's a key player in that. And, of course, it's destroying America, I think, as most people now recognize.
Well, it's a mafia model. Jack Lew has proven himself to be a killer of mortgages and of people's net worth. So he gets a bump up in the mafia organization. Speaking of gangsters, John Corzine, another proven killer from MF Global, former governor of New Jersey, ex-Goldman Sachs terrorist. He's got a big payday coming, I guess. They're moving him to a new office and giving him another role in ransacking the economy. What are your thoughts on John Corzine at this juncture?
Look, MF Global has been talked about to death, but I do have, and I mentioned this on a TF Metals interview I did recently. It was a huge deal, though, for people like me that have been sort of following the markets in the background saying, okay, well, what's their next move? When are they going to attack futures? Is the theft going to accelerate? The fact that John Corzine has seemingly gotten away with what he's gotten away with, and the media really giving him a break and a lot of defense, and the fact he's looking for an office, as you say, and was looking for a chateau in France. I don't know if you saw that story. a few weeks prior to the bankruptcy of MF Global. This all further proves the fact that there is no rule of law in the United States. And by participating in the, let's say, casino of the markets, you are risking your money in a massive way. And I, being involved in that bothers me. It scares me. It's a big reason why I, from the beginning, did not want to accept capital, was because I was worried that it would go down this path. And now that it is, I'm becoming increasingly concerned just being involved at all. Because it's clearly totally criminal. So that's what the MF thing said to me. That's what Corzine said to me. I knew they were going to attack the futures markets at some point. They've been very crafty at getting people afraid to now buy futures through this MF situation. So I think we're in a whole nother ballgame, a whole nother realm of theft, manipulation, and fraud in the markets.
Let me get your thoughts on something. It was recently announced from the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, that they're launching NADEX, N-A-D-E-X, which gives people a chance to speculate using so-called prediction markets with real money on presidential elections and other political outcomes. So they're going to combine politics and political outcomes, speculative betting, with a futures market. Is this kind of like combining the worst of two corrupt worlds, or is there something I'm missing? Mike Krieger, your thoughts?
You know, you've touched on this before, and I think in the exact correct way. It reminds me a lot of like how COMEX, how paper, silver, and gold have been used to, you know, like the tail wagging the dog, to keep the bigger physical market down and to manage expectations and to keep people thinking that things are okay. I think that this is sort of the idea is the rollout of this. It will take over polling. So polling will probably become a thing of the past, and then markets, this sort of deity that is the markets, will then determine everything in society, including politics.
So you have the situation where they have Mitt Romney. The paper price for Mitt Romney could be extremely high, even though the actual people voting on the voting booths is a different story altogether, but the paper price is at a higher level that the media then reports on as A, too big to fail, there's systemic risk in not voting for this guy, and B, the markets, which are infallible according to the neo-market religion, are telling us that there's only one outcome, like this guy's got to win, correct?
Of course. And so I think what they're doing is they're just taking the model that's worked for them in the futures, in the gold and silver markets, and now in the stock markets, which what they're doing is they're keeping the stock markets elevated so that people don't question that things are bad. 46 million people on food stamps. So what? The S&P is at 1280. Things can't be that bad. It's the same thing with sort of this. What I've noticed is the meme in the mainstream media regarding Ron Paul is he's unelectable. So what they do is when they discuss Ron Paul is they just say he's unelectable. They just sort of blurt it out as if it's the sky is blue. And what ends up happening is if you say it enough, eventually people will start saying it to themselves in society. It's pretty pathetic, but it's true. And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've noticed that just based on people that like Ron Paul that write to me and say, I like him, but he's unelectable. And then I engage them in a debate of like, oh, well, tell me why he's unelectable. And they can't really explain it. It's literally this subliminal propaganda that emanates originally from the TV to the collective consciousness, and I think that's what they're going for with these markets. And if you can and we know that they can manipulate all the markets. Why? Because they run the casino. So if they're going to run the casino of political polling or political futures markets, that's what they're going to do. They'll get out there and they'll rig it so that Romney has 80%, and then say, "See, Ron Paul's unelectable. Game over." I think that's where this is going. Very scary.
Absolutely. I've been warning about this for years, but the only industry that's protected itself against this was Hollywood when they banned box office futures trading. And of course, who wouldn't want the JFK puts in August of 1963? That would have been a winning bet for sure. All right, we're out of time. Michael Krieger, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Always great, Max. Thank you.
All right, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, and Stacey Herbert. I want to thank my guest, Michael Krieger. You can catch his stuff at zerohedge.com. If you want to send me an email, please do so at keiserreport@rttv.ru. Until next time, Max Keiser saying bye, y'all.